The F-22 Raptor is the only fifth-generation stealth fighter in the world. He is considered the best fighter jet owned by the United States in the post-Cold War late 1990s. This advanced fighter aircraft made by Lockheed Martin has only produced 187 units and is exclusive because no other country has it. However, why did America choose to stop the production of this great fighter jet? The F-22 Raptor is the most expensive fighter aircraft with a price of $120 million per unit or $361 million per unit when added to development costs. The fighter jet was built from 1996 to 2011. Its maiden flight was on September 7, 1997. The F-22 was introduced or officially launched on December 15, 2005. Citing the National Interest Report, Friday, December 31, 2021, the story of the F-22 Raptor began in the early 1980s. Eager to maintain air superiority, the U.S. Air Force began looking for a replacement for the F-15C Eagle. In 1990, flights between the Northrop YF-23 and Lockheed Martin YF-22 resulted in the Air Force selecting the YF-22, later renamed the F-22 Raptor, as the cornerstone of America's future air power. Initially, the U.S. Air Force believed that the new 750 F-22 Raptor fighters would cost approximately $26.2 billion. In 1990, with the Cold War drawing to a close, the George H.W. Bush administration cut its purchases to 648 aircraft. In 1997 that number fell again to 339 units, and in 2003 the number was again slashed to 277. In 2009, that number was again whittled down to 187, plus 8 test and development aircraft, and the production line was discontinued. The path of implementing the F-22 Raptor program is also long. The Advanced Tactical Fighter Project, which gave birth to the F-22 Raptor, began in 1981. The Raptor's first flight was in 1990, and the aircraft achieved initial operational capability in 2005. In comparison, the F-15 Eagle went from design selection to maiden flight in 7 years, 1965 to 1972, and achieved initial operational capability in 1976. In other words, the F-22 took twice as long to develop as the F-15. During that time, the Soviet Union went from a competing superpower to a heap of dust, having disbanded in 1991. The mighty Soviet Air Force broke out between the surviving republics, and fighter development in the newly formed splinter nations was restricted to improving existing designs, such as the MiG-29 and Su-30. Few in number and flown by pilots with minimal flight hours during the lean economic years of the 1990s. This condition does not provide a strong reason for America to rush to use the F-22 Raptor. The F-22 Raptor also gained air-to-ground attack capability during this time, expanding its usefulness. The F-22 has also fallen victim to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The sheer cost of supporting 2 low-intensity conflict wars simultaneously made spending against a peer competitor which didn't exist at the time difficult to justify. The F-22, which is not deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan, is often described as a budget battle against weapons systems vital to the United States war. The F-22, fair or not, is often described as a program funded at the expense of mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles that save ground forces in Iraq and Afghanistan from the dangers of improvised explosive devices. The long development period also put the F-22 in indirect competition with the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. Although different aircraft are designed for different roles, the F-35 is a less expensive aircraft with similar and, in some cases, greater capabilities than the F-22 and appears to have played a role in Secretary of Defense Robert Gates recommending the F-22's discontinuation. When Gates did, he recommended speeding up the F-35 program. Gates estimates that the United States will have 1,700 F-35s in stock by 2025, a number that, given the cost overruns and delays to the controversial program, the Pentagon is unlikely to meet. Finally, in 2008, the United States entered its worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, with GDP plunging a staggering 8% in 2009, the year the decision was made to halt production of the F-22. The recession will last until 2010, and the recovery is arguably ongoing. This added pressure to concentrate on the immediate threat and delay investment in a major power war, something that in 2009 seemed a distant prospect. Did the US make a big mistake? 8 years after the discontinuation of the F-22 program, with hindsight, historical verdicts have been mixed. On the one hand, the termination paved the way for other, more urgent, tactical programs to be funded. Lives are undoubtedly saved by diverting billions into MRAP production. On the other hand, the world has changed once again in the following years, and the Chinese and Russian air forces are in the midst of their extensive modernization efforts, just as both countries have grown more aggressive on the world stage. There are now 3 fifth-generation aircraft, the Chinese J-20 and FC-31, and the Russian/Indian T-50, in development to challenge US air power. Neither of those plans existed in 2009 when Secretary Gates suspended the F-22 program. Critics of the shutdown alleged that the Department of Defense made tactical choices at the expense of weapons that could deter the adversary from starting a major power war, making a much more devastating war more likely. The F-22 Raptor program's discontinuation was due to several factors. Still, perhaps the underlying reason was that the program lasted so long that it was at greater risk of being belittled by current events. 10 years after development had begun, the battleship Littoral was still equipped with only one 57mm cannon moved in the same direction. The F-22 isn't the first magic weapon to face an early end, and it won't be the last.